Hi Tony, Ian here. Tony, I want to run through that project that we discussed, and I'm going to start from scratch. So I'm going to create the folders so you can get an idea of how I create and structure the folders. I'll just pop the data in there, and then I'll run through importing a shapefile and working with a geopackage, and then finally we'll import a CSV and then also link the XLS spreadsheet to our new layer that we add in. Okay, then we'll style that and then create a layout. So let's start with that. So in order to sort of manage your data better, it's preferable to have one single place to store everything. So let's go and create a folder, and we'll call it Zakhele. And then in this Zakhele folder, I'm going to just go and create a folder for data, and then projects, and then inside data I'm going to go tables and spatial, and then inside spatial we're going to go vector. And then what I would also usually do is have a raster folder, but I don't think we're going to use a raster folder. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to copy this data across. So let's go and copy all of this data. Okay, so one is a shapefile, so I'm going to paste it in there, but then okay, so that's the KML, there's the shapefile. This Excel spreadsheet, I'm going to cut that and put it in the tables folder. Okay, so we've got our data in a format and a file structure that we should be able to work with nicely. So let's go and open up a QGIS project. Okay, so we've got a new session of QGIS opened up here, and I want to import the shapefile data. So let's go and extract it first. Okay, what did I call that folder? Zakhele. Okay, and it is under spatial, vector, and it's the shapefile. So I want to unzip this. So I just right click on it, and you're going to extract it. So now you may have a different function to extract, but basically you just want to extract it to a folder where you can add it to QGIS. So I'm just going to say extract here. Okay, there we go. So there is the shapefile. And like I said, a shapefile is actually made up of a combination of files. The most important ones are the SHX, SHP, and the DBF. These other ones all are important for the shapefile, so that's why this has been zipped. It's probably a good idea to zip when you're sharing your data, but we're going to use that and add it to our project. So let's go back to our project. Let's close this one down quickly. Okay, back to our project, and let's add that shapefile data. So using the Open Data Source Manager, I'm going to go to Vector. I can minimize this slightly. Let's make this a little smaller. Okay, so I need to navigate to that folder. So I'm going to my desktop, and then it's Zakhele, data, spatial, vector, and this is that shapefile here. You can tell QGIS to only search for certain file types. So we can say search for Esri shapefiles, and then choose that one. That's the one we add. And then we can click add and close. Excuse me. Okay, so it looks like it adds quite nicely. Let's put some background data on to make sure that it is rendering in the right place. So if you go to plugins, manage and install plugins, you need to install a plugin called Quick Map Services. So if you see it here, just turn it on. You might need to type quick to go and search for Quick Map Services. Once you've installed it, you'll see Quick Map Services. If you don't have all of these options, go down to Settings, and then you're going to go to More Services, Get Contribution Pack, and then once that's added, you can save that, and then if you go back to the web menu and Quick Map Services, you'll see you'll have extra Quick Map services that you can stream in. Let's start off with the Google satellite layer. So I'll turn that on. And if I make this transparent, so I'm going to select my Zakele shapefile layer and then just open up the layer styling panel, or the layer styling panel. Let's make that no brush. I'll make the outline yellow, and now we can see, or blue. I think yellow works. So we can see that's in the right place. So we're off to a good start here. Okay, so now what we want to do is I want to be able to link the Excel spreadsheet to this layer. So let's just have a look at the attribute table first. So I'm just going to select it and open the attribute table. And currently my attribute table is viewing in a form format. I want to view it as a table. Okay, and we've got an ID and an IRF. Okay, and that IRF number is unique, so we should be able to link on that IRF number. I'm going to close that down. What I'm going to do is I want to store all of the stuff in a geopackage, and this is my preference. I prefer to work with geopackages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to export save features as, and then select geopackage, and then I'm going to navigate to that folder which is on my desktop. Under vector, I'm going to call it, so it's the Zakele geopackage. I'll say save, and Zakele extension 13 is fine, and we're going to add the file to the map, so we can say OK, and then that adds. So now what we've got is we've got the shapefile, the original shapefile, which I'm going to remove, and then I'm going to work with the geopackage. Alright, so just for now I'll just give it an outline so we can see what's going on. What we can maybe do also is just turn on the label for the IRF. That works nicely. I'm going to do a free angled styling, and then the other thing I want to do is I only wanted to label completely with inside a polygon. So when I zoom out, you'll see these labels will actually turn off. So if I zoom out further than that, the labels will turn off because they don't render completely inside the polygon unless the polygon is big enough. Okay, that just makes it kind of neater and easier when we're working with it. Okay, so let's go have a look at that Excel spreadsheet. So let's go back to data, tables, and there's that Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to open that up and have a look at it. Okay, so here are all your columns and data, and I'm looking to link on a unique identifier. So if we look at the sticker number, you'll see there's Ward 26Z and then 201814. So now that is the IRF number we need to link on, but we are going to need to separate it from this column into its own column. So I'm going to insert a column. I think I need to start editing. Enable editing at least. So I'm going to insert a column. I'll just call this link ID. There we go, link ID. And I'm just going to write a little equation to extract the right hand portion of this bit of code here. So if I select the first cell in that new column I've just created, you can type in equals, and it's right, and then open brackets, and then it's the column that I want to extract from, and then a comma, and then the number of values I want to return, and then close the brackets and equals. Okay, now I can select that one and just copy it onto the remaining fields, or contact unemployed. Okay, that looks good. So paste that. So now we've got all these values. So now I can save that. And when I add that to QGIS, I'll be able to link on that column there. So let's close that. Back to QGIS. Right, so now I can import that Excel spreadsheet. So Data Source Manager again, selecting the vector option. Now we need to navigate to that tables folder. Tables folder, it's still looking for shapefile, so we can just tell it to look for everything. There it is there. Data sakele.xl, open, and you can just add that and close. Alright, let's have a look at the attribute table. Does everything come through? Looks like it. That is being treated as a number. Let's see if we're able to link through to the attribute table of the Zakele extension. That is also a number. I know it's a number because it's justified on the right hand side of the column. Anything that's a text or a string will be justified on the left hand side of the column. So if I go back to our spreadsheet, you'll see the things that are text are on the left hand side, and all the numbers should be on the right hand side. So here we go. That's actually been treated as text, whereas this is being treated as a number. Okay, so do you see how that works? Right hand side is a number. So the reason I'm saying that is because in order to link two columns together, they both have to be the same data type. Right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my Zakele layer, right click on it, go to properties. Okay, that'll open up this option here. Now this is the layer properties. I want to choose the join option. Now I want to create a new join. I've only got two layers I can work with here, and the one is the data sheet and the other one is the properties of the layer I'm actually in. So it only finds data sheet. There's nothing else. If you had a number of other layers here, they would be listed here. Okay, so the only join layer option is the data sheet, which is fine. So now the join field, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's looking for two columns that are the same value. We need to find the new one we created, which is called link ID. So we can select and scroll down and choose link ID. Now the target field is earth. And then whenever I link something, I do like to create a prefix, and then I just shorten the prefix to something that I can see. So what is this? This is the data sheet. So I'm just going to go for Excel, the Excel spreadsheet. I'm just going to go X and a dot. Okay. And then if I click OK and look at the attribute table, we should now have a bunch of new columns added to the shapefile. So X dot, meaning that this is coming in from the linked XLS, and all of these field columns with an X now have come from an external source, the external source being our data sheet. Alright. Okay, so what we can now do is we can color up using one of these columns. So I think the one you wanted to look at is the contact type. So contact, non-contact, let's try those. So using our layer styling option, using Zakele, we can choose the drop-down menu categorized, and then we can choose, what was it, contact type. And I'm just going to make sure that this is a solid color, so that when I style it, it'll show those colors. There we go. Okay, so we've got contact, non-contact, refused, vacant, dwelling, others, etc. Okay, so other values are blank. So anything that is green is blank. Contact is the person that was available. Non-contact, I guess you didn't find anyone on that occasion. And refused, they did not want to talk to you. Vacant dwelling, yeah, vacant dwelling, I guess you know what that means. I don't know, vacant, let's actually make this layer slightly transparent. So actually what we'll do is we'll click on the colors, and I'm going to make them all 50. Actually what we'll do rather, we'll make that 100. And then what we'll do is we are going to make the layer styling rendering option 50. If I make that 50, okay, that's not exactly vacant. If we zoom out a bit, okay, that's what it looks like. Now you will have access to the satellite imagery, hopefully that was done by LRI. I am just using the Google satellite stuff. So you would need to speak to someone in the office to get hold of that data, copy it onto your system, and then reference that data. Yeah, so if you want me to show you how to do that, I can do, but I don't have access to the data. But all you need to do is you copy that data onto your computer. There is a grid with a a grid for the various. It's almost like an ID to the various satellite images. You label on that, and then you just add the one that corresponds. If you go to tutorial 4 that we ran through, you will see what I'm talking about. So go to tutorial 4 if you're not entirely sure what I am talking about. Okay, so imagining that we're happy with this, I'm going to just turn on a different quick map service so that I can get a different background. Here we go. Okay, what I want to do now is create a layout. So new print layout. I'm going to call this A2. Okay, you can style it at A4 if you want. I'm going to make it portrait and A2. Zoom to the full extent. Now I want to add the map, and this little icon on the left hand side, if you hover over it, it says add map. I'm going to add the map in here like this. Next thing I'll do is I'll turn a frame on. Okay, so that's got a frame now. That should render in time. I think we also needed to change the font size. So I'm just going to go back and change the font size of the label. First of all, change the font buffer, and then take this from 10 down to 7. Let's see if that will render. And go back to my view. I'm going to rotate this to, what was it, 340, I think was the number we came up with, just so we can get the best possible fit here. And then lastly, what was this, 1,500 scale wise. Okay, I'm going to give that time to re-render and see if it comes up. Okay, so that's a little big. Maybe if we made it 1,750. I'm just rescaling it to see if we can get it to fit into our portrait A2 setup. Okay, pretty close. Problem being, some of the text is not labeling. So what you can do here is go back and change the font size to 6, for instance, and then refresh that. See if it comes through. So you will need to change either the scale size, or you'll need to change the text size. So I'm just going to zoom in a little further. I'll just make it 1,500 and see if the labels come through on each of those polygons. So the reason, remember, some of them aren't labeling is because I chose a setting in the labeling options to only draw the label if it fits completely inside a polygon. Okay, so that's why it's not coming through. Okay, next thing we can do is add a legend like this. We can choose the auto update option. This is tutorial 3 if you want to go through and learn how to do this properly, or just spend more time doing it. I'm just going to label this as, what was this one? I'll just call it other. Okay, so those are all blank values in the database. That we don't need to see. I can remove that too. And that is our legend. We can maybe give it a title. Also make sure it's got a background, or a boundary, I beg your pardon. There's our legend. Maybe we want to call this Sakele. Let's rename that. Extension 13. Maybe make it bold. And 22. Quite a bit bigger. And then actually we can either turn on a buffer under font. I could maybe make that buffer 2 or something. Or the other option is actually to turn on a frame and a background, and then just resize that. We can see it's rendering the top left hand corner. If we want to render in the middle of that box, we can just go center and middle, just pushes it into the middle. So now we have a title, There are other things you can add. I'll just add a couple things down here. The north arrow. Now you'll see the north arrow is rotated, and that is because the project layout has been rotated to 340 degrees. Other things you can add is your scale bar if necessary, and you can play around with that. Okay, all of these other objects and elements that you and items that you add to the project, you can go and learn how to do that in tutorial 3. So just go have a look at that if you are a bit overwhelmed by the speed of which I'm doing things here. Okay, I can save that project. I'm going to go and put it in the same folder, and I'll just under projects. So Zakele extension 13. And save. And I think that is everything we went through. Let me know if I left anything out. Okay, good luck with that. Cheers.